Hi there, welcome to Thinking into Results. I'm delighted you've decided to change your life and join me on board. What I would love to do today is to show you step by step how to study, how to use the program in order to accomplish anything you desire. So what I would love to start with is how to download the materials from Thinking into Results online and how to study them daily. So I will share my screen with you to show you a couple of details. So you should, by now, you should have received this email with access to your Thinking into Results online. And all you need to do is simply click on the link that leads you towards the program and then use your username and password. Once you log in, you will be able to change the password for yourself. So this is the page that you will arrive at, and this is the Thinking into Results online program. You will have access to it for life. And if there are updates done by Bob Proctor and Sandy, then you will be able to have those updates as well. So here you have a welcome video. You can watch that welcome video. And under that, couple of interesting things. Participant guide. You definitely want to download this participant guide. Now, what do we use participant guide from? I'm going to give you a very quick overview. At the very start, there's a couple of introductions from Bob and from Sandy. If you want to, you can read them. And then how to study the program effectively. And then we have overview of every lesson. So we have 12 modules or 12 lessons in this program. And for instance, here we go with lesson 1, which is setting your goal. And this is what you typically start with in terms of thinking into results. What I would love to encourage you to do when you're looking into a new lesson, when you're starting it, I would love to encourage you to read the lesson overview. And you will notice that the worksheets or the elements of participant guide that are to be filled by you, they will be included separately in the worksheet tab. I will show you where that is, and they will be possible to be printed. Participant guide cannot be printed. What you have in participant guide is typically an overview of the lesson. And also at the end of every lesson, I would love to encourage you to look at articles. So you don't have to read those every day, but I find them fantastic addition to the material. So for instance, after lesson 1, we have decision article. Then after lesson 2, we have persistence, and so on and so forth. I would highly recommend to look into those articles when you're starting new lesson. So this is participant guide. Participant guide cannot be printed off your computer. What can be done is you can save it on your desktop and you can view it online, or if you really would love to have a paper copy, what you could do is order your participant guide from Proctor Gallagher Institute. You could do that as well. I typically just pull it up on the screen and it's comfortable for me to use it that way. There are certain elements of participant guide which we call worksheets, and this is what you complete on a daily basis. You will be able to print them off, and I'll show you where. So this is participant guide. Under the welcome video, you will also see goal card. Don't worry about printing off goal cards. You will receive them in the post from me once you get started. Maybe you already have received it. Now, here's Lessons tab. Lessons tab is where we actually start doing the work. And so let's say we have lesson 1. I'm going to show you an example for lesson 1. And in every lesson tab, you will have 3 things. You will have the video, you will have lesson 1 MP3 with the same content as the video, and you will have lesson 1 worksheet. What I would highly advise you to do is go through every lesson tab and download all the MP3s and all the worksheets and also your participant guide, just in case if you're ever offline or you're traveling and you want to access the lessons, you will be able to have them all on your computer and you don't have to go online. So here's what you do every day. You either watch lesson 1 video or listen to lesson 1 MP3 twice a day, every day for 2 weeks. And then you move on to another lesson. So you can either watch a video twice a day, or you can listen to MP3 twice a day. It's the same content, or you can mix and match. Just make sure that you do it twice a day. On top of that, what you do is you fill in or complete lesson 1 worksheet once a day, not twice, once. And you only fill in individual worksheet. I will show you exactly how to do it in next couple of minutes, but this is your routine every day. As we know, subconscious mind governs 98% of your perceptions, ideas, and results. And if you want to change, we change it by repetition. And so actually at the beginning, the repetition of the video and MP3 and the worksheet every day might feel a little bit awkward, but I promise you there is a reason for it, because it will help you change how you're thinking nearly automatically without your effort. So what I would love to do is I would love to go through lesson 1 worksheet so that you know how to complete it. And right after watching this kickoff session, you can get started. So how you get started on a daily basis is you literally watch video or listen to MP3 twice a day, and you complete lesson 1 worksheet once a day. And you do that for 2 weeks, and then you move on to another lesson. So here's how you do lesson 1 worksheet. As you can see, there will be some of the pages of the worksheet are missing. So you have page 1 and then page 3. The reason for it is because this is extracted from your participant guide. So if you would like to read the overview of the lesson, go back to participant guide. So here you have a couple of simple questions. Do I have good sound reason for my beliefs? It's a one-liner answer. Where did my beliefs come from? Would changing my beliefs improve my life? How do I change my beliefs? Now also make sure that you read the introduction on beliefs that is included in participant guide so that you know how to answer these questions. Then you go into individual worksheet. If someone were to stop you in the street and ask you, do you have your goals? What would you say? And you literally respond with a couple of lines. I know there's lots of lines here, but it could be sometimes literally one word answer or one-liner answer. Then in question 2, you are being asked to write a shopping list of your personal goals and professional goals. Professional goals are anything to do with money and career. Personal goals, anything else. So house, car, travel, soulmate, weight, anything like that. And you write basically bullet point, like I want a beach house, I want my soulmate, I want X, Y, and Z. You write bullet points and you just basically flush out all the goals that you might have. And don't worry whether you know how to get them or not. The important part is, do you want them very, very much? So this is question 2. Then you go to question 2, and Bob is asking you from the list in question 2, you're asked to select one of each, one professional and one personal goal. And choose the best one. Now, I know you might have lots of goals, but we know that if you go for all of them at once, you will not accomplish any of them. Now, sometimes, let's say we might have a big goal, like, let's say I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm earning 100,000 a year doing my business, or 100,000 a month. And I know if I accomplish that financial goal, some of my personal goals will be accomplished. Like I'm going to buy a beach house, or I'm going to do X, or I'm going to do Y. Sometimes these goals, basically the big one, if you select a big one, it's going to involve the smaller ones. And so you're asked to choose one of each. Now, every day as you do it, it might be a different one. That's why you actually have 2 weeks to clarify your goals and really go in depth and ask yourself, what do I truly want? Then in question 4, what you do is you describe the goal that you chose with detail. So you go in present tense. I'm so happy and grateful now that my professional goal has manifested. I am running a thriving success coaching business globally. I am earning X amount of money. I live in a beautiful house by the beach. I am in charge of my time. I work 20 hours a week. I love everything I do. My clients have huge success stories. I love everything I do. I love every day. I feel fulfilled. I feel happy. I feel thrilled. So you basically go into detail of what your goal looks like. So you create a picture as much its detail as you can, and also include feeling words, because subconscious mind is emotional mind, and we want to include feeling words so that when we read it, we actually get really deep into subconscious. And then it asks you to do the same with each of the goals, so personal and professional. Now, here's the thing with selecting the goals. You don't have to have 2. Sometimes, as I said, the goals will actually connect with themselves. So let's say if I go for a financial goal, I know when I hit it, I will be able to have certain level of lifestyle. And sometimes you might have like two goals, very important ones, like let's say, okay, I really want my soulmate and I want my business. If you have such a deep desire, go for the two. But the truth is that there is a law of focus. What you focus on will grow. So what Bob has taught me is, it's good enough, and it's much better to focus on one big goal, accomplish that, and go for another one, rather than to be distracted. So really, and ideally, after 2 weeks of writing out your goal, get in touch with me, either by email, send me your goals so that I can review them, or book a one-to-one session with me. I will explain later how to do that, so that I can help you finalize your goal, so that you know exactly what you're going for, and you know whether it should be one or two. Now then you have the section of writing the goal on a goal card. I would hold off with writing your goal on the goal card for 2 weeks while you're doing the lessons. After 2 weeks, when you have either sent me your goal by email for review, or you actually spoke to me, then write it on a goal card. Then you have how do you feel after setting your goals, and then 6 action steps that you can take towards your goals. To be honest, the 6 action steps is a very good activity to do every day. You write them out before you go to bed. You write, what can I do tomorrow to accomplish my goal? And make sure that number 1 is the toughest. Number 1 is the one that you procrastinate the most about, and number 1 is the one that you're fearful about. But you know it has to be done, and it's going to make the most difference. And then you start knocking off these activities starting from number 1. Then we have team worksheets. You don't worry about those. These are used in companies and teams. So this is lesson 1. I wanted to explain this to you so that after watching this kickoff session, you can actually go right in and start doing your daily work, which is watching the video or MP3 twice a day and doing lesson 1 worksheet. What I personally do, some people print off 1 copy and then they write answers in the notepad. I personally pull up the worksheet on the screen and then I write answers in my notepad. So this is what you do on a daily basis. So for 2 weeks, you're working on lesson 1, unless I gave you different instructions. Some of my clients start with self-image lesson, but majority of my clients start with lesson 1. And then you go into lesson 2. After lesson 1, definitely get in touch with me to finalize your goal. Then you have a couple of tabs here. You can go and watch success stories. About resources, I wouldn't worry. I think actually some of them are a little bit of a mistake here, because they actually belong to consultants rather than to participants. So don't worry about that section. Definitely lesson section is your section if you like to see success stories. And if you ever wish to order participant guide in paper, you can do that. So what I would love to just share with you is, when you get started and you create that new habit of repetition, of doing the work daily, it might feel awkward for you, because we are not used to do something daily. In fact, we are used to read book cover to cover and then move to another book. But what's important is that you need to understand that there is a reason to this madness, I promise. So what Bob Proctor discovered over the years is this is how we change subconscious mind. So there is actually very deep importance to both components, both listening and watching and your worksheet. So while you're listening and watching, by repetition of information recorded by Bob, what effectively happens is new neural pathways are being built in your brain, and you start developing different thinking patterns. Basically, Bob's thinking is transferred into your mind by literally effortless repetition. Then what happens when you do your worksheets, you take that new way of thinking and you apply it to your real life. So as you can see, you cannot do one or the other. You have to do both. And I know sometimes our paradigms will try to convince us, oh, I don't feel like doing worksheets today. I don't have the time. You just have to remind yourself what your goal is when that happens, and ask yourself, do I want to live my life the way it is right now until the rest of my life, or do I want to accomplish my goal? Because if I want to have my goal, I've got to do it every day. And if you do it, seriously, your whole life is going to change. Sometimes we might have paradigms jumping in the way and not to do the worksheets every day. What I would advise you to do then is use your accountability partner, reach out to me, and we also have a lovely video in client resources that can motivate you around that. But never allow your excuses or paradigms to stop you from moving towards your goal and doing what it takes. Because remember, you just invested in really transforming your life. You've got to do what it takes. So these are a couple of things to get started, guys. Now, here's what's very important. What you put into this program is what you're going to get out. Now, it's not always going to be easy. You will be going through ups and downs, and one day you will be like full on inspired, fired up, and then the next day you might have a lazy day, or you might not feel like doing anything, or maybe some negativity creeps in. You've got to understand that what you put in is what you get out. So you've got to develop that habit of doing the work daily. If you have difficulty with that habit, then please get in touch with me, or please get in touch with your accountability partner, and make sure that you do what needs to be done towards your work. Also remember that I'm here for a reason, and mentored programs have 80% more effectiveness than self-study. So if you ever get stuck or you have important questions, I will go over the structures that you can ask me questions with. Always reach out. Never allow your paradigms to stop you from accomplishing your goals. That's why you have me to support you to accomplish your goals. Now, here's what we do every week, guys. So what you're going to do is every single week, you're going to receive a weekend email from me, which looks similar to this. It says thinking into results, details for next week. And what I put into that email, I put in information, a couple of information if there is something specific coming up. But what you're going to get is dates and times of the upcoming group webinars, and also what lesson to watch before the webinar. So here's what's going to happen. When you are starting thinking into results, you're going to do lesson 1 every day for 2 weeks. But when you go on the webinar, we might be discussing a different lesson. So for instance, we might be discussing lesson 11. But I promise you, regardless which lesson you're doing, when you come on the webinar and you discuss the other lesson with us, your view of life will expand and your goal setting is going to be much more powerful. So the whole concept of this program is repetition. What's going to happen is throughout 6 months, you will cover all the lessons with me twice during the webinars. All you do before the webinar, you're just watching the lesson that we're going to discuss at the webinar once. You don't have to do the worksheets. Now, if you ever feel like you would like to watch a webinar that is to do with your current lesson, like lesson 1, you can go to webinar recordings and just find webinar with description lesson 1 and just watch it. Then there's some information about accountability partner, mastermind groups, and we have client resources. In client resources, there's some good stuff that I record additionally for my clients to support them. Don't worry at the start, but later on, I may sometimes direct you to client resources. So this is what we do. Once a week, you will receive this email. And when you start, I will check in with you as well if you're receiving these emails, because they come from autoresponder. And I will also give you instructions what to do if they get stuck in your junk box or in your promotional folder. Now, okay, so this is webinars. Now, here's what I would also suggest. I would suggest make sure you attend 1 webinar per week. At least 1 webinar. If you feel like you have a lot of time on your hands and you would like to attend both, no problem with that either, but make sure you are on webinar once a week. What we do at the webinars, for first 30 minutes, you have space for asking me questions. And you can ask me any questions with regards to your material so far, with regards to any specific paradigm that is popping up for you, or with regards to ideas towards your goal. So make sure you show up at 1 webinar per week. And so for 30 minutes, you can ask me any questions, and then for another 30 minutes, I teach one of the modules. And all of these webinars are recorded, and you can find all the recordings in the recording session. So if ever you have a situation that you can't make the webinar, you can either watch a recording or attend the other webinar throughout the week. It's up to you really whether you choose Monday or Saturday. Don't worry about checking in with me. You just jump on one of the webinars throughout the week. Make sure you attend one. Okay, so then how can you ask me questions throughout the week, and how can you reach out to me when it comes to mentoring you and helping you to move forward towards your results? As I mentioned earlier, mentored structures with accountability give you 80% more results than self-study, and there is a reason why thinking into results is being mentored, because Bob has learned that you've got to have someone to guide you. You've got to have someone to pick you up and also guide you, filter through paradigms, and help you apply the material. So how can you reach out to me? Whenever you have a question in relation to your material, in relation to structuring goal the right way, in relation to what paradigms to select, or am I structuring my paradigms the right way, in relation to making the routine easier for you, maybe you don't have a lot of time and you find you're struggling with juggling things, reach out to me. How do you reach out to me? Ideally, you want to be asking me questions at the group webinars, either on Monday or Saturday. Because when you ask me the question that you ask me, I promise you there's people in the group that would like to ask me that question, and they will benefit from what you've asked. Now, sometimes our paradigm will get in the way and will say, my question is not important. I shouldn't be asking that question. Whatever your mind is telling you, don't listen to it. If you have a question, it's your job to reach out to me and get that question answered. Don't ever allow your inner talk to talk you out of it, because you're paying for my services, you're paying for my mentorship and for my guidance, and for me it's a pleasure to guide you towards your results. So number one priority, ask me questions at the webinar. If the question is something that is truly personal, you feel completely ashamed to ask at the webinar, or you really get stuck between the webinars, then there is a couple of other places where you can reach out to me. Number one, I'm running a Q&A session every single Wednesday between 12:30 and 1:30 p.m. Irish time, and I will send you a link with this kickoff session where you can actually access that Zoom. I do it on Zoom call because what happens is I'm basically sitting in one spot for 1 hour, and my clients just pop over and ask me questions. So you can use that. Put that time in your diary between 12:30 and 1:30 every Wednesday, and make sure that you know Eva is online. You can pop over and ask questions. And finally, we also have 5 laser coaching sessions, which is 15-minute laser coaching sessions every Thursday evening. And I will share with you a link of where you can book them. If you need to finalize your goal, definitely either send me the goal by email or book that one-to-one session, because that is very important starting point. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have the right goal, or if you don't have goal that really inspires you and gets you, you're going to find yourself struggling with doing what it takes towards accomplishing it. So definitely book that one-to-one session. And also, if you get really stuck and you need me, by all means book that one-to-one session. So I'm just going to show you very quickly how to book that kind of session. Just one second, I need to move this. So how can you book one-to-one sessions? There is a Calendly link here. So for instance, I'm just following the link, and I will share that link with you. And let's say the next time for booking one-to-ones is Thursday, and we have 3 spots. All I do is select the spot that suits me. I'm also checking in if I'm looking at the right time zone. If not, then I change the time zone. You can change the time zone here, see? And so I just literally click on this, confirm, and then fill up the details, and then it's booked. And you have a session with me. Now, one question I would like to ask, guys, if you don't need sessions, don't book them in advance, because you're blocking time for others. So just make sure when you need me, do reach out. If you don't need me, do not block sessions for others. So these are the typical structures that I've set so that I am available for you and I can help you. Now, If, let's say, I've had a couple of clients where literally, I mean, they were just like, they could never, they were working like 12 hours a day shifts, and they could not reach out to me, whether this was Thursday or Wednesday. If you are in that situation where you get stuck and you need support, and you know none of the times suits you, but you really have a question that is urgent to answer so that you can move forward with your goals, then either drop me an email or drop me a text, and then I will do my best to schedule a quick call with you so that you're always supported. Okay, now ideally I would love you to use these structures, but I know sometimes life gets in the way and people get really stuck with their time. And if you still need me, please reach out to me and I will see what I can do to accommodate you. So this is how to ask me questions. Okay, now what I would love to go over is every single one of you guys is going to experience ups and downs. So what that means is, you know, like one day, let's say, typically when people go through lesson 1, they get really high and they feel like, oh my God, I can conquer the world. And then when they go to lesson 2, when it's actually time to look at our paradigms and what actions we need to take, then we have that reality check where people have that little drop of energy and negativity starts creeping in. I just want you to know that this is going to happen to you and it's okay. And I also would love to actually encourage you that when you are going through those times of down, the up and down is as important towards accomplishing your goal, because a lot of the time when you have that down period, you're actually battling with some paradigm that once you transform it, your whole results will blow up out of the proportion. So it's very important to understand there's nothing wrong going on. If you get stuck with doing the worksheets, paradigms creep in, you've got to get yourself off the ground, and you reach out to accountability partner, you reach out to myself. Your job is to ask me questions, ask for mentorship, and ask for that guidance. And especially when you're stuck, you just have to say to paradigms, no, I'm still going for my goal. Read your goal card and reach out to me, because that's my job. That's why I'm here for you. And ups and downs are what we call law of rhythm. They happen in life, and you just need to understand that it's normal, and we don't get emotionally involved with the downs, and we get very enthusiastic about the ups. And as I said, reach out to me if you need me. Then we have a couple of other structures, which I normally encourage you guys to look at. Probably maybe when it comes to accountability partner, I will assign one for you within 1 week of you joining the program. And definitely you want to use the accountability partner just to check in if you're doing, just to report that you're doing the worksheets and the videos and the MP3s every day. That is the first paradigm that most people work with. So what I would advise you to do, I do send a separate video in terms of who accountability partner is and how to work with that person when I connect you with that person. If I haven't connected you within 1 week from starting, please reach out to me and I will make sure that you have accountability partner and you know exactly how to work with that person. Also, you may view, in that email that I sent, I also include a little video on how to use accountability partner, what to report to them on, and how to also make sure that if your accountability partner is not the right fit, then you come to me and I will swap you around, because sometimes that might happen. People's paradigms are in the way, and sometimes, you just have to turn that around. Then what I would love to invite you to do, after the first 2 weeks of thinking into results, first 2 weeks, I think I would just give yourself to really get used to the system and really do lesson 1 and finalize lesson 1 properly. Make sure you send me your goal and make sure you either send it to me by email for review or you book a one-to-one call for 15 minutes so that we can go over your goal. After you finish first 2 weeks, I would encourage you to join Mastermind Group. Now, you just literally, if you are a business owner and your goals are mainly business oriented, then I would definitely advise you to join Business Owner Mastermind. For anybody else, if you don't have a business yet, or maybe you are dealing with other goals, career goals or personal goals, then join any other mastermind. Just make sure that it suits you and you commit to the same day every single week. Commitment is very important because mastermind teams, members rely on you. It's like what you put in is what you're going to get out from people. So I would definitely invite you to look into the mastermind that suits you within after the first 2 weeks of your course. What I will do is also record a separate little video on masterminding and what the role of masterminding is, and I will just include it in the weekend email rather than taking up a kickoff session. So that's pretty much all, guys, today. So once again, I just want to say really big congratulations for investing in your dreams, investing in yourself. I know you will have a ball, and I know you will create fantastic results. You just have to stick to doing the work daily. So see, when it comes to achieving your results, number one, if you have a deep desire for a goal, that's yours. But we have paradigms, so we have mental programming that is in the way of accomplishing these goals. And so what do you need to do every day? You really need to commit yourself to develop a habit of doing the mental work every day, which is you're thinking into results every day, watching the video twice or listening to the MP3 twice, and doing the worksheet once a day. You've got to jump on the call with me webinar once a week. You've got to ask questions. You've got to make sure you do the work. And then number 2 rule, you've got to be willing to take actions outside of the box. If you ever feel stuck in terms of what action should I take, how should I change my paradigm, it takes me a bit too much time per day, how can I incorporate that during my day so that I don't spend too much time per day? You know, when it comes to doing your daily work, half an hour a day you've got to sit down to write. Everything else can be done while exercising, being on the gym. You know, some people prefer to sit and watch, but some people are so busy that they have to implement it in your schedule. And if with that, I can help you. So please reach out if you have that kind of questions, ask me at the webinar or reach out for one-to-one. Just make sure that you're reaching out to me so that I can support you. And I am so delighted to have you on board. I am so delighted for the celebration we will have in next 6 months. And I wish you best of luck. Welcome on board.